Hello, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Route Consultant webinar. For those of you who are here for the first time, my name is Josh Gregory. I help lead the consulting and training teams here at Route Consultant, and I've done a whole bunch of other things here over the years, been a broker, all kinds of things. But I'm working with both our new buyers to help get them into the space and help educate, but also with contractors to help find efficiencies and additional profitability in their business. So I'm here today to help kind of lead this webinar. For everyone who has been here before, all our regular attendees, welcome back. So whether you are brand new to the space or you've been here since the RPS days, we do want these webinars to continue to be a place where you can learn, have a little bit of fun, and help hopefully get your questions answered. And a quick apology, if you see me freeze briefly today, we have had a little bit of connection difficulty, so hopefully that won't be the case. But if I freeze, I will be back. It should just be really brief. And so don't panic, I'll be back. So just a quick disclaimer that I have to read as I do every week. Route Consultant is not endorsed by and is not recommended by Federal Express Corporation, FedEx Ground, or Amazon. Route Consultant is not sponsored by, is not approved by, is not associated with, and has no connection whatsoever with Federal Express Corporation, FedEx Ground, or Amazon. So all that means is that you're not going to hear any materially non-public information today, but we do want to make sure that we are providing information that is helpful, answering your questions, and helping with whatever we can, providing some content that is useful for you guys to hear today. Now, if you have never been here before, the way that this is going to work from a timeline perspective is I will go over a couple of our new listings this week, and then we will jump into some content with our co-host today. And then at the end, I will open it up for pure Q&A. So you can ask whatever questions you want about anything. It can be about the topic we talk about today or anything else that's top of mind. So we will open that up at the end for any of the questions you have. And so when we get to the Q&A, put your questions in the Q&A button at the bottom. If you put it in the chat, I will miss it. So make sure you put it in the little button at the bottom that says Q&A. And then another important caveat, if you've never been here before, if you have, is that when we get to the Q&A, there is a question of the day. And that is, so when you are asking us your question, you first have to answer ours. So the question of the day this week is, what is your favorite type of live event? So it could be a concert or sports, whatever it is, anything you want to name there. And then if you have a particular moment or a particular game that you remember or a particular event that's really memorable and you want to talk about it or mention it, feel free to put that in there too, and we'll read those out. And both myself and the co-host will answer those as well before we get into the Q&A. So one last thing before the Q&A, I will go over the new listings for the week. So we do have a few new ones this week. So over in Minnesota, we have 9 routes selling for $995,000. It's got 2 managers, 6 spare trucks, and 3 spare drivers. And there is an opportunity here for you to operate this remotely. So even if you're not right by that terminal in Minnesota, and it is a really dense urban territory as well. The next new listing is in New Hampshire. It is 9 routes for $600,000. This one also has a manager. It has 5 spare trucks and 3 spare drivers. So if you're looking for something on a little bit smaller side, but up in the New Hampshire area, that's a good route for you. The next one's in Iowa. There are 13 routes selling for $700,000 with a manager, a spare truck, and a spare driver. And again, this one is also able to be run remotely. So again, even if Iowa is not the state you live in, there's still an option there. So at this point in the year, we are coming out of peak season, which if you're not aware what that is, it's the holiday season, which is the busiest time of year for contractors. So if you're looking into the space, go ahead and mark your calendar. Those last couple months of the year are the most exciting as a contractor. So now we can start to take a breath and instead of kind of being in the grind of the craziest times, we can start to shift our mindset and our focus on what we want to spend some time on now. And in this space, in this industry, you will always be hiring, peak's no exception. And that should always be something that's a part of your life. But something that we don't talk often enough about is how to actually retain those employees for longer periods of time than just right when you need them. And that's a critical part of your overall people and personnel strategy that we want to spend some time on today. And if you're new to the industry, you may not have realized it yet, but a lot of contractors do not offer any kind of healthcare benefit, even though it is one of the better ways to help retain your employees. And usually the things I hear are that the margins don't justify it, or they don't have a large enough business for it to make sense as a benefit. But there are options here for just about any size business. So what we've done today, brought on Roland Brewer, the president of Realm Health, to help talk through some of that today. So Roland, if you want to pop on video and come on and introduce yourself, we'll go ahead and jump into it.
Well, thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yep.
Good. I'm excited to be here today. What an incredible opportunity. So welcome everybody that's here watching. And Route Consultant just does an absolutely incredible job, and we've hooked ourselves to them, and we're just, we're grateful to have them as partners, really. I mean, that's the way we view this. So Realm Health, just real quick, I mean, we started in this FedEx space roughly about 3 years ago. So we're not new to the industry. In fact, we have been working in the transportation industry for many years, providing benefits. So the FedEx space has just been kind of our world, and we have progressed into Amazon. And so that's it's really our passion. And again, as we go into today, we'll talk more about that. But I've been in the industry myself for roughly about right at almost 30 years. So I know that's probably hard to believe, but I have been, and I'm just we're excited to be here, and we're excited and passionate about what we're really doing in the FedEx space. I'm on all the forums. I'm on all this stuff. I mean, we dive in. We really want to understand who we're working with. And so whenever I say, or my staff, anyone on my staff says, we understand what you're going through, we do. We're not living it because we don't own routes, but we are living it in the sense of we're living it every day, because we literally have over 1,000 contractors, and we have all of their drivers, and it's really been a blessing. So we look forward to talking to you today about things and how to retain drivers and how to recruit and why benefits are important.
Yeah, perfect. So, I mean, when people are thinking about healthcare, they're often thinking about, the major medical plans. So are those, like, what do those look like if you're trying to get into the space, and just so that people can start to conceptualize those?
Yeah, I think I'd like to kind of take that and broaden this part of the discussion a little bit. So most of us know that are on here today, we're probably very familiar with the major medicals of the world. Either we have it at our current job that we work at, or we're employed somewhere and we have it, or we're actually providing it with a company that we own. So the big difference to understand is major medical is not always the answer. Now, do I have options that will take care of that? I do. But what we discovered in this marketplace is you got to be able to find something that truly fits the demographic. And, whenever you look at the BUCAs of the world, and you'll hear me talk about BUCA, that's Blue Cross, United, Cigna, Aetna, the names we all know, right? When you look at that, it's not that they're bad. I mean, they are good. I mean, they have their place, and it's certainly worthwhile. The problem is they don't mold themselves to this industry. And so what they have is no different than a transportation company buying it, or a company like mine, or a company that's building widgets down the road. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason. It's just major medical. Now, the problem is that's gone on in our opinion, and what has happened in America today. In fact, I'm reading a book right now. I'm gonna hold this up because it's actually pretty interesting. I mean, it's American Sickness, and what it's talking about is, how healthcare became a big business, and how we need to take it back. It's out of control. And I think we can all agree to that. I mean, medical prices have gone through the roof. Prescription prices have gone through the roof, thanks to big pharma. Everything has just gotten so outrageous. I mean, heck, years ago, I mean, again, I'm 54, but I remember, I mean, premiums where they were only, $150, $200 for an individual. Well, today that's like unheard of. I mean, those kind of things just don't happen in the major medical world. We had a pandemic. We don't even know what the outcome of that's going to be yet, because all the claims haven't truly hit. I mean, it's just crazy. So what we're talking about here is we're literally coming in and we're trying to say, how do we build something that attacks this marketplace? How do we change the way healthcare is being viewed today and being bought today? So what we did is we went in and built programs that truly hit this market space. So again, is major medical the correct answer? I mean, it fits some people, but look at it this way. If an employee can't afford $400, $500, $600 plus a month, or I mean, forget this. I mean, what if they can't even put their family on that's over $1,000? Is it really a benefit at that point? And I think that's something that Spencer and I love talking about, because at that point, it's really not a benefit if only one person out of 15 or 20 people can afford to buy it. So we got to build something, and we got to put something in front of the employees that's truly a benefit. And then to talk about the other side on the major medical. So there's rules and there's stipulations, and I hope I'm not jumping ahead too much. You're a great host, so you're going to be able to counter on this. So with major medical, you have to have 75% participation. Okay. And not only do you have to have 75% participation, but you as an owner, as a contractor, you actually have to contribute 50% of the lowest premium product you choose. So again, let's say the employee rate is $400 a month. Well, that means you're responsible for $200 a month. What we're seeing, and especially what's gone on over the past year and a half, that's pretty difficult for employers to be able to do in this space. But not only that, really, can the employee afford to do that? So we want to be able to bring benefits, and what we built are benefits that now you can look at it and say, because I'm providing benefits, now I'm able to take what was a good job for most. Now, because I have benefits, now I actually am able to provide those quality employees a career. And I think that's really important to look at. So again, we'll go into products and details and all that, but just understand those rules and regulations around major medical. And Spencer says it all the time when he and I are together doing a meeting. And you can attest to this. I mean, Spencer could not afford it when he started his routes. I mean, he couldn't afford it at all. So he's in no different situation than most probably that are on the video going, man, how do I even do this? Yeah. And not only could he not afford it, but he couldn't get 75% participation. These young guys, they're not concerned about it. They still have an S on their chest. And you'll hear me talk about that multiple times. I mean, I just lost the S on my chest, and I'm 54. My wife told me I had to lose it, but I think I'm invincible. I mean, why not? I still do stupid stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's go jump on that skateboard or whatever. I don't care. So, you got to provide something that truly fits, and we're going to talk about a la carte packaging and why that's important, and being able to be bringing a broad spectrum of products to these guys.
Yeah, and like I mentioned at the beginning, we hear from contractors all the time who say they don't have the money or scale to support healthcare, and it's because they're only thinking about major medical. Right. And the idea is you want this to be a benefit. You want your employees to be happy, and you want to feel like this is not a drain on your company, where it's a huge burden on both you and the drivers to have something that should be a benefit. And so, I mean, it makes perfect sense that there's something that has to shift here. Talk to us a little bit about, you've kind of started to hint in it, but how does Realm differentiate from, a major medical? What's different about Realm Healthcare here? Okay, so first and foremost, in most of the P&D market, what we discovered 3 years ago, that was the very first thing we landed into was a P&D. And then, obviously we ended up getting line haul routes, et cetera. But in the P&D world, when we started,
and this is a pretty close statistic. Again, you guys can probably speak better to this, but I do know it was around the 90+% mark. We're not able to provide these benefits. So, and that was in the P&D space. In the line haul, it was somewhere in the 70s or whatever that wasn't able. But it's changed. And I like to say it's changed a lot because of what we've brought to the table. We've opened the eyes of owners to show how they can afford. And here's how you can, and here's what we did. So again, I stated on the major medical, you have to contribute 50% of the lowest premium. With us, because we know what's going on and what we built with our underwriters, we literally turn to you and say, what can you afford? So I'm not going to turn to any owner, any contractor of any business and say, you have to participate this amount of money, because again, I'm not doing your books. I don't know what your profit margins are. Mm-hmm. So what you have to look at is what can you afford per employee. Now, I do want to say this because this is really key and I don't want to forget about it later. Pertaining to that, when we talk to the employees, we never tell them what you're contributing. We never tell them that. And I think that's really key. We did in the very first two that we did, and it backfired. The owner called us and was like, oh my gosh, I mean, these people, they're mad because I'm only doing $50 and, but that's what he could afford, right? But it wasn't good enough for a couple of employees. So it just created a turmoil. So we never say it anymore. So what we did is we built these products. Now we have first dollar coverage plans, and we have three sets of those. So those are going to be what we call our standard premium executive. I will tell you, in the P&D world, these are the plans that are sold 90+% of the time, unless the P&D operation is pretty large and is already affordable, being able to afford major medical style plans. So they're first dollar coverage style plans. So what's that mean? It means there's no deductible, no copay, no co-insurance. In other words, if you go to the doctor, we're going to pay a certain amount of towards that visit. I'll use an example. One of our plans pays $100 per visit. So if you go into a doctor visit, whether it's your normal family practice or if it's a specialist, we're going to pay $100. That's what we're going to pay. So if the bill was $125, then the person would still be responsible for $25. If the bill was $80, we're still paying $100. So I just want you to know we have what again is called first dollar coverage. Same thing goes hospitals, MRIs, CAT scans, blood work. It all has a very specific dollar amount. Now, these are the plans I will tell you, out of the 1,000+ contractors, again, the vast majority of the contractors literally have these plans for their employees because they're just flat affordable. It meets the needs of what the vast majority of the employees want. Again, it's got hospitalization, it's got it all in there. No pre-existing conditions matter, none of that matters. And not only is it affordable for the employee, but it's actually got affordable rates for employee children, employee spouse, or family. So those plans are our first and foremost. Then we built just recently, because we're growing with Route Consultant, we're growing with you at FedEx Ground, we're growing with you at Amazon, and we realized that we needed to get bigger, we needed more. And so we built some ERISA healthcare plans, ERISA, okay? ERISA healthcare plans. And what that is, these are plans that truly have deductibles, they have copays, and they have co-insurance. So it looks and feels like your typical BUCA plan. I have a $3,000 deductible plan and a $2,000 deductible plan. And I will tell you, in the marketplace, especially in the line haul or bigger P&D operations, people are loving it. With those plans, I actually have to have 5 people in a group participate. With my other plans, I only have to have 2 people participate. So bottom line, I have yet to not ever be able to meet a participation requirement. Therefore, groups are wide open to us. But those ERISA plans are new. So some of you that are on this today, maybe already are with us, or maybe you've heard about us in the past and go, well, they don't maybe have what I'm really looking for. If you haven't seen these new plans, they're absolutely phenomenal, and they truly, truly do work. And here's the neatest thing about both sets of these plans. And I got way more that we're going to talk about later, but these plans, I have set rates. So it's not like I have to wait for a week or 2 weeks or even days to get a quote. I have an instant quote. I already know what my rates are. So I don't care if somebody's in Florida, Ohio, Tennessee, where they are, Dallas, where I am, or if they're in California, my rate is my rate. This makes this really simple. So I'm able to turn it around and get these things going really fast. So those are the two main things. And that is the difference in a nutshell, which was a long nutshell, Josh, but of what the difference is in what is major medical and what we are offering.
Perfect. Yeah. And just a quick clarifying point. Is there any requirement to have healthcare if you're under 50 employees or over? Is there anything there?
Man, I love that. No, there's not. Under 50 employees, there are no requirements at all. So most employers that we're talking to, I mean, there's obviously bigger ones, but most employers we're talking to are under 50. There are no requirements. And if you are over 50 employees, then you are required to provide ACA qualified plans, which the ERISA plans meet that qualification. Now, when I say that, I want this to be real clear because there's always a misunderstanding here. You have to offer it. If you're over 50, you have to offer an ACA qualified plan. If you're in California, there's an ACA mandate still that's out there for any individual, and it's done by your state franchise board. So there's still a tax penalty in the state of California. But I will say that with that you need to focus on just understanding that as long as you offer it, it doesn't matter if they're taking it, then you're compliant, you're meeting what the IRS is asking for.
All right. Okay, so you talked about a couple of your different plans. Are there any other products you wanted to highlight there?
Sure, absolutely. So we have an accident plan. The accident plan is an absolute, almost every single person purchases this within a company. Employers, in fact, almost always pay for at least this plan in 100%. It's literally like $30 for an employee. But what's really good about this is the accident plan is 24/7, 365. So I don't care where they are, what happens, if they get injured, cut a hand, whatever, it doesn't matter. The accident plan pays. And what's really important about this is I just did a webinar just recently with Route Consultant, and a PNC company was on right after me, and they attested to this. The big deal is if you have an insurance plan, whether it's an accident plan, health insurance, or something, I can tell you, they can tell you that your mod score will not be as affected as much on the PNC side on workers' comp, because they now have a plan that they got hurt last night playing softball or basketball or whatever. They didn't come in today and get hurt, I mean, and we all know it happens. I mean, it just does. Spencer loves to tell the story, guys pulling the package off the shelf in the truck, and he hurts his shoulder. Well, he really hurt it last night and everybody knew it, but he couldn't prove it, right? I mean, it's just one of those things. So it affected his workers' comp score. So my accident plan is an absolute no-brainer. We have critical illness. Now, critical illness is if they have a heart attack, stroke, or cancer, and there's a few other things all listed in there. But if they have that, it pays a lump sum benefit. Typically $20,000 is what most of the employees choose. There's less, et cetera, but most choose around the $20,000 mark. Then we have our dental. Our dental, we have 3 different plans. We have a $1,500, a $3,000, and a $5,000 annual maximum plan. I mean, absolutely, they're all PPO plans. By the way, my health plans have PPO networks, et cetera. So it's great. No HMO step to it. But the dental plans are PPO. My vision is by VSP, which is the largest vision provider, not only in the United States, but in the world. So you're not going to have a problem there finding something, contacts, glasses. I mean, it's all available. And then we have life insurance. Life insurance is really one of the things that I think Spencer and myself are truly passionate about, because we see GoFundMe's listed all the time. And I actually have real stories of employers coming to me saying, hey, I just had someone pass, they didn't have life insurance. So heck yeah, I want to start doing this for all my employees, because you get that spouse, that loved one coming to you going, did Johnny have life insurance? And you're like, no. And, can you continue to help us out for a couple of months? I don't know how we're going to pay the bills. I mean, so you don't want to be stuck with that. And for something that's very inexpensive, you can provide a benefit that really takes care of the family, so you don't have that burden of trying to go get a GoFundMe going. We have telemedicine 24/7, 365. I mean, we have advocacy, our advocacy department, and I know we're going to address this later, but my advocacy department, we literally saved our customers over FedEx only. I haven't even talked about Amazon at all. FedEx only last year was over $4 million in healthcare savings. A lot of that stuff is what I was reading about right in here, that, why would you pay $3,000 for an MRI when right down the street in the same zip code, same everything, it's only $1,000? Why would you do that? But that's where our healthcare system is gone today. So short-term medical, I'm actually I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. I'm going to say, short-term disability. I'm telling you today on here, but we're going to officially launch it in San Diego. But I'll be able to do some pre-stuff before then. But our short-term disability is absolutely phenomenal. It's going to be really, really good. So I think you'll like that.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. That is all great. And I think that's the important thing that people don't always realize, is there are just as many options here with Realm as when you're thinking about a normal healthcare major medical provider. There are a significant number of options to cover all of the needs you may have from the benefits perspective. So when it comes to the employer side of things, what kind of benefits do you provide what are the unique things that you do for employers, not just the employees?
Well, first and foremost, the employers have access to every plan that we have, and I think that's really important to understand. I mean, because I still run across contractors that maybe have a job somewhere else and they have stuff, and they would like to know if they could participate in our benefits also, and they can. So I would say that first and foremost, that all of our benefits are available to them. I do find that a lot of them gravitate towards those ERISA plans. I will also say this, I have some specialty stuff for, I'm going to say, more of higher end life insurance, but more of an investment side for you. I actually have all of that runs through my office, and I have people today that, they're making themselves the bank. I mean, they're putting money away. So a lot of times you can't afford to, to do 401ks, et cetera, but, and have those kind of things set up. But I have that style of life insurance where you can go in and shelter away cash, but you can actually have access to it. So then that way, if you did need to borrow, guess who you're borrowing from? You're borrowing from yourself. You're making yourself the bank. So who are you paying back? You're not paying back XYZ bank or whatever. So and you get your tax breaks for that, because you get it all as a write-off. So I will tell you that is probably one of the biggest, most unique things that we have launched over this past couple of years now, that contractors really, really are enjoying.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so a lot of people's kind of questions here, and I'm sure we'll share your information afterwards with everybody on the webinar. But how do they get a quote? How do they get started? How long does it take? What should they be thinking about there?
Well, sure. They're just going to contact us here at Realm Health, and like if you go to our website, realmhealth.com, you can literally select get a quote, and you fill out the information and it comes directly to us. That's the easiest way. And again, we'll share our contact information. But I think there's a couple other things real quick to hit that I want you to understand that make things a little different, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
First and foremost, how we enroll is so much different than maybe what contractors, employers have been used to. How we enroll is we literally call every single employee. So they're not going to a website where they're just looking down this website and they're going, what do I do? What do I pick? I don't know what to pick. I mean, and then they're coming to you or maybe a payroll person or an HR person if you have that. But a lot of times we see at FedEx, they don't. And you don't need to be in the insurance business. You need to be running that. So we actually call every employee, walk them through the benefits. They can pick and choose whatever they want. One guy might just say, I want telemedicine. Another one might say, I need a full package for my entire family. I mean, whatever it may be, we walk them through, they get to select it. Once we do that, then we send you the bill at the end of the month. And then you have that full month to collect. So I'm enrolling right now for 2/1. We'll send at the end of this month, everybody that enrolled, all of February they'll collect, and then they'll pay us by March 10th. So that's really unique by us. All customer service, all advocacy, everything is run out of this office. All enrollments, there is nothing farmed out whatsoever. We're on the 15th floor right here in Dallas, and everything is done from account management to enrolling, you name it, customer service, it's all right here. So that makes it unique. And again, I think probably the easiest way today would say, just go to realmhealth.com. That's REALM health.com. And you can go right on there and select, get a quote. And those emails come to me and a couple of the other leaders, and we'll certainly get someone to contact you as quick as possible.
Perfect. Yeah, and we put all that information in the chat. So if you're looking for it, it's there. You can reach out today. And if you have any additional questions there or need any help, just reach out to our team. We'll help. So that's all the questions that I had for you, Roland. So before we open it up to open Q&A where everybody can ask questions, first we have to get back to the question of the day. So reminder, if anybody missed it at the beginning, is the question is just, what is your favorite type of sport of live event, concert, sports, anything like that? And if there's a particular memorable one that you want to mention, feel free to as well. So if you're typing in a question, make sure to ask that or type that in first. But Roland, what is your favorite type of live event?
Wow, I love this. My favorite type of live event, my youngest son is still a college baseball player. And this is his senior year. So I would absolutely have to say that any of his college baseball games will be my 100% go-to live event. So
that is fair. Yeah, this is the last year. You got to see them all, right?
Yeah, I do. In fact, since you said that, so my son texted me yesterday and he was like, and Dad, they were inter-squatting right before the season gets ready, right? And he said, I absolutely hit the biggest nuke I've ever hit in my life. And he was so excited. And so he called me as soon as he got away from the field and the complex yesterday and when he got back to the apartment. But he was so excited. So yeah, I love sharing that with him and enjoying it with my wife. And we have a great time. So it's good.
Great. Yeah, perfect. Okay, and then here, what I would say, I do love sports, but my wife does not, so we don't go to too many of those live events anymore. But we're huge concert people. I wasn't before I married my wife, but she's really good at it. She basically just buys the tickets and I show up. But there's so many small venues around in Nashville, so there's lots of bands that are kind of coming up or aren't quite big yet that you can see at those venues with 50 people in it, and it's a great memory, especially when they become huge. So we try to do a lot of that, and it's probably live event wise where I spend most of my time. I wish I could say sports, but I took her to a football game, to the Titans game, and I tried to sit there and explain everything that was going on, and probably about 30 minutes in, I watched her eyes roll into the back of her head. So I know the limits there.
I get it. My wife's not a big fan either.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that she is because of our child.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, it's very different if she's watching the son play. You can make exceptions for that.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll get into the Q&A. And again, while I'm reading these questions, you can ask questions to Roland, to myself about anything. They're completely open. So first question here is from an anonymous attendee. So he said, there's nothing like an NHL hockey game, which I can attest to. Predators in Nashville are great, really good times. So definitely, if you've never been to a hockey game, they are high energy, lots of fun. And since it's all kind of contained, you always feel it. Can you go through the difference between ground, smart post, and home delivery? So just at a high level, just, if you're not familiar with any of those terms, those are just the different designations for deliveries. So a ground delivery is to businesses. And then there's another category that you'll see on settlement statements that is e-commerce, which is a combination of home deliveries. Well, they'll always be residential, but there's another category that if you've been here for a couple of years, you would have seen the transition happen where smart post, which is another category of packages that came through the post office and is a partnership, but it's still labeled as e-commerce. So home and smart post together make up e-commerce, but they are always residential. And then ground is to businesses. So those are the categories there if you're looking and trying to understand the differences. And in just about every territory in the country, there is both, if in your zip codes, you will be doing all of the businesses and all of the homes. There are still a few kind of leftover territories that there will be one contractor that does the business deliveries and one contractor that does the residential deliveries in the same area. But a lot of that is happening. It's called overlap. So if you are talking to someone and they say the business isn't overlapped yet, that means that there are still two contractors in the same zip code, one delivering to businesses and one delivering to residential, which is obviously wildly inefficient. So that's why FedEx has moved most contractors to that model, and they're still trying to kind of finalize those last remaining territories that haven't made the swap yet. Next one is says that sporting event, NHL game. So same, another vote there. So how hard would it be for someone outside of the US from Canada to be able to purchase a line haul run in the US? So a couple of things you kind of have to be aware of if you are not a US citizen. One, first off, there is FedEx in Canada, so that might be the easiest first option. But if you're trying to get a business in the US, the AO, the authorized officer, the one who actually has signing power with FedEx, does need to have either a citizen or some kind of, some kind of permanent work visa that FedEx can allow to be the owner. You could be the owner in terms of you could own all of the business equity, but whoever your authorized officer is needs to be someone who is a citizen or has some kind of work visa that is can kind of check the boxes for FedEx. So while you can buy a business in the US to actually be the person from FedEx's eyes who's running the business, you do have to have certain kind of qualifications and certain citizenship statuses. So there are caveats, there's ways to get around it or ways to handle it, different people that you can bring in as a business partner or an employee to handle it, but there are extra wrinkles there. So if you're going through that process, just make sure that you understand the steps there. And if you have more questions there and need to go into detail, reach out to our team. We can talk about the more in-depth steps there that you would go through. Paul is asking, his favorite live event, first off, is Ole Miss football. Although he said the Rebels won the College World Series last year, so had to throw in his his baseball moment too. I'm a Vandy fan, so we play Ole Miss every year. It hasn't gone well in a while. So there's that. So I enjoy watching Ole Miss when Vandy beats them. It just doesn't happen very often. So he's a prospective buyer. His question, is it possible for FedEx to drop his contract after a year? So when you're thinking about your contract and kind of what this looks like and the stability there, the first thing to realize and think through is that for FedEx, it is very expensive and not their first decision ever for you to lose your contract. It's really difficult for them to replace you immediately. If you think about the steps that typically have to happen, if you lose your contract, they generally aren't always going to have an immediate replacement set up. That's pretty rare. So normally what has to happen is there'll be a period of time where they have to pay somebody else at a high rate to come in and do contingency to cover your contract. So it's not the goal for them to replace you and for you to lose your contract. They would much rather you maintain your contract. You can get into situations where either your service or your safety is suffering, and there are a series of escalating steps where, you know, they've basically had conversations with you and you've had low safety scores, or your service has suffered for a period of time, and that has led to increasingly more difficult conversations. But it is a process. It's not a, you know, I've never had a problem, they take away my contract overnight. You'll know, and there will be a long pattern of these steps, and you'll have plenty of opportunity to correct those. So there is a process here with multiple steps, and know that FedEx's goal is not to just take away your contract. They want to maintain stability in their business. So while it is in theory possible to lose your contract after the first year, you will have plenty of opportunities to correct those issues before it comes to that. You know, we're here to help if you start to go, you know, fall down that path, to help you think through options to start to recover any way we can. So that's what we're here for, is we want to help contractors out of those situations. And FedEx is happy with that too. They would rather you correct your safety and service than have to replace you. So Idris, his next question here is, he wants to buy FedEx routes but doesn't have any real background. So what are some proper steps to acquire more information? So lots of things you can do here. If you go to our site, routeconsultant.com, we have a free FedEx 101 training that you can just go on, and it's designed to try to teach you as much as we can, just virtually, to give you kind of a lay of the land of what you're walking into, and help you start to conceptualize what this space looks like. From there, we actually have a 2-day summit that Roland's been a part of, where we try to cram as much information as we possibly can into that 2-day summit. And it's the new investor summit. That's what it's designed for, is that if you've done your online research, but you really want to know, is this the industry for me? That's what the summit's there for. So we have those both virtually and in person. And so you can go on our site. We have a list of all of the upcoming summits. We'll do at least one a month, if not more. So plenty of options there if you're trying to look for the next opportunity. We just did one this week. And then from there, lots of ways we can continue to help in that process, whether you want to look at one of our listings, or we have more robust consulting packages to help walk you through the purchasing process, or we help contractors all the time too from that perspective. So plenty of steps. I'd tell you to start with the 101, the free training on our site, and go from there. But like I said, it's a long road that we've walked, and we would love to help you continue to walk down that and help answer that questions if this is the right industry for you or not. Next one is from Simona. Her favorite live event is a spoken word or live bands. Live bands I've definitely done. I've never actually gone to a live spoken word, but I at least know what those would be like. So I'm sure it's worth going to at least once. So could you provide insight to how contractors without trucks operate? So you do have to have trucks. It just depends, you know, it may depend on what kind of question you're asking here. So when you buy one of these businesses, P&D or line haul, typically the trucks are included in the sale. So when you buy the business, it's going to come with all of those trucks. And so most of the time, that's generally the best reason to buy a full business, versus FedEx does have some ways where you can start for free, but it doesn't come with any drivers or trucks. And so that's really difficult to get started, as you can imagine, trying to source all of that for the first time. So when you buy a business from a current operator, they'll generally include all of their trucks and drivers. So in those types of situations, that's the best way to handle the fact that you don't have any trucks right now. Sometimes you may find that there are more trucks that you need to purchase. We know plenty of vendors that we can help with who you can purchase trucks from, you can lease trucks from, lots of options there. But generally, even if you don't have trucks right now, when you're making that purchase, they'll be a part of it. Perfect. Well, unless anyone wants to squeeze in one more question, that's about it for time. But I did want to mention for everybody, so if you're trying to type in a question, you've got about 30 seconds while I talk here. What is the date? February 22nd and 23rd, we have a happy hour and road show in San Diego. So if you live anywhere in the Southern California area or anywhere nearby and want to come out and meet us, Roland will be there as well. So if you're looking to kind of see some of us in person, talk to Roland, we'll all be there down at the road show in San Diego. So that'll be the next chance for you to see us in person. If you go to our site, we got plenty more events coming up, but that's the first one of the year that's in person. So hopefully we will see you there. For everybody else, one person, you, Mr. Anonymous Attendee, you squeezed it in. So his question is, well, first off, his live event was a boxing match, which that I've seen UFC. I've never seen boxing. I would love to see one live. It's just you kind of have to get lucky in Nashville. It's not necessarily something that comes through every day through here. So it's basically just talking about line haul, looking to invest in the space. So what price range should I be looking at? Where should I be looking? Just so I'll answer this generally. What I would tell you is that this is a very in-depth question that I would want to know a lot more, talk you through all the options. You can reach out to our team to talk through that in depth, but just at a high level, when you're thinking line haul, it can really, it does not have to be as location locked as it does for P&D. For P&D, we tell people, be within 5 hours about, ideally you're closer, but there's a kind of a range you can draw where as long as you can drive to the terminal in a reasonable amount of time, that's probably ideal. But for line haul, you can be farther away. If you think about it, a lot of those line haul trips, one, they're overnight. So you're often not going to be awake even while your drivers are at the terminal, or at least you'll be on the phone available, but may not be up and working. But oftentimes those are cross-country trips. So even if you live right by the terminal, if your driver has an issue 400 miles away, it's not a huge benefit that you live right by the terminal. So you can often be more remote when it comes to line haul. So from a location perspective, you don't have to be as locked in if you're in an area that you're not interested in owning line haul in. So know that. And then when it comes to the investment, how much to spend, there's all kinds of things we can talk about there that it's tough to say we have enough time for right now, but I would love to, if you reach out to the team, we would love to help talk you through the best scenario for you in your particular situation. One more from William Hudson. So favorite live event recently has been concerts. Has really been enjoying going to see Foreigner play in concert. That is great. I'm sure they're great. I didn't actually even know they still toured, but I'm sure it's still a good show. So Roland, if they are reaching out and working with you, will they have a dedicated rep as a business, or what's the best way, like on an ongoing basis, to work with you?
Yeah, I love that question came up because that's really important to us. You do have an account manager that's very specific to you. Although there's always somebody else that can help if that person's gone, but each individual company has their own account managers, and they will be able to help guide and answer any questions. And again, that group literally is right outside my door. So, they come to me with anything that stumps them. But I think that's what makes us, again, really special is we have that personal touch. So you do have that dedicated person where you're not just calling into a 800 number and you don't know who you're going to get. I mean, you've got it. So if Sally's your person, Sally's your person. So, and then I'm always available. So
yeah, we'll just give out Roland's cell phone number for everybody to call. And
actually, to be honest, most contractors, and this is a true deal, that's why my phone never shuts off. Most contractors actually have my cell phone because I kind of make that commitment to them. Whenever I'm out at events, they just get it. But again, you're going to have a personal rep. We have a lot of employees here. We're this 15th floor is loaded. It's all ours. And so we're loaded with customer service, everything. So you're in good hands.
Yeah. And I really don't want to downplay how important that is. There are lots of companies that'll provide services that sound nice in theory, but if you don't have somebody you can call when something breaks, then it's going to feel a lot like you were sold a bag that's empty. I can attest to it. You're going to have a rep, you're going to have somebody that you will have their number, you'll know their name. And that is huge, especially something like healthcare where you might need answers quickly. That's perfect. So I think that is the last question, all that we have time for. So Roland, again, thank you so much for coming out today, answering questions, talking through it. Always appreciate having you.
Man, thank you so much. Welcome again, everybody. And man, we look forward to seeing you at one of the live events because they are absolutely incredible and packed with information. So it's a great time. So thank you again for having me. It's been an honor.
Perfect. All right. See you, everybody. And again, hopefully we will see you in San Diego at our next live event. And for everybody else, we will see you next week. Thanks again.